Welcome to Learning Python Basics in less than 5 minutes. Python is an object-oriented programming language. This means we can create objects in Python that store data that can be used and manipulated. We must first understand that Python utilizes variables, operations, and conditional statements just like in mathematics. In Python, variables can be named anything just like in math, and they can store a variety of data types, such as integers, decimals, words, which are called strings, booleans, which are either true or false, lists, which are just groups of any other data types, sets, which are lists that have no repeating data, and dictionaries, which are lists that are accessed by the first name in the list. You create a variable by naming it, adding the equal sign, and then writing whatever you want stored in the variable. Words will need quotation marks. Lists will need square brackets. Sets will need curly braces. And dictionaries also have curly braces, but the name of the dictionary will be followed by a colon inside the curly braces. Now that you know that you can set variables in Python, you can now understand how to create if statements and loops. If statements allow you to execute a command if a condition is met. Conditional statements used by Python are equals, not equals, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. An if statement is written like this. If x equals 1, then print x. There are 3 kinds of loops in Python that allow you to do things a certain number of times or while a condition is met. The loops are called for loops, for each loops, and while loops. For loops allow you to do a command a certain number of times. For instance, for x in range 0 to 10 will print x 10 times. A for each loop will execute a command for each item in a list. For example, for item in list will print each item in the list. A while loop will execute a command while a condition is met. For example, while x is greater than 0, will print x until it is no longer greater than 0. We can reuse many lines of code by storing them in a function. Then we simply call the function whenever we want to run all those lines of code. Finally, we can store all of these variables and statements and loops and functions in an object. Then we can create new instances of that object and use all of those variables and statements and loops and functions that we have stored inside. For instance, we can create a dog class that has a variable to hold his breed and a function that names the dog from a random list of names. Each time we create a new dog object, he will have a breed and a name stored. There are many more things to learn about Python, but these basic concepts are the foundation of all object-oriented programming. Happy learning!